Now, there's some red flags with that. If I look at like the reactive IT model, which I don't think IT ever gets out of being reactive. Something breaks, you fix it.
Right.
But what are some of the other red flags that you've seen in regards to that sort of reactive IT model, as well as obviously we've identified the lack of strategy. But again, what are some of the red flags you're seeing in the marketplace to maybe the IT relationship isn't working for your
Mm,
business anymore?
yeah. Yeah. The signs your IT relationship isn't working
Show me the
anymore.
signs.
What is it? So people can feel it more than anything else. And it's feeling like there's really slow response times or reoccurring issues. That stuff drives everybody crazy. And it drives leadership crazy when that stuff bubbles up and people get so frustrated downstream that they come in and they pull in their leader, they pull in an executive and say, look, I've submitted 3 tickets on this. It's not getting fixed. We get it. That feels very reactive. It doesn't feel good for anybody involved. But when you're seeing quite a bit of that, that's a red flag there. And second, another big one that I see is as we're working with billing, we try to condense our billing here in what we do. So it's relatively simple to understand. You get a bill or two a month, and that's about it. But when you're receiving bills from your MSP or any vendor and they're not consistent, you don't know what's on there, there's all 35 things in there, and the contract in general is kind of unclear. That's also a red flag to me that I suggest people really dig into those things and see if you need to look at other providers that have clear contracts, expectations are clearly set, billing is relatively easy to digest, and you're feeling like you're getting a quicker response time, and you're feeling like things generally are solved within the first call.
Yeah, my favorite analogy about outsourced IT support in general is when everything's working, what am I paying for? And when everything breaks or you have a crash or an outage, what am I paying for?
That's right. Yeah, that's a really good meme, and we could have a whole podcast about that. But that's really true, and it's our job as the IT provider to come in and sort of answer both of those questions, and sort of be in the room and go, hey, that's a fantastic question, and I get it. Here's what we're doing, and here's how we can prove to you in the future we are doing these things, so you don't forget what we're doing over here.
So I think that clear contracts, clear costs, no surprises, quality response times, a lot of this stuff is almost table stakes. But is there anything else where, reactive IT or maybe not the right partnership for your business that you can call out on, things to look for?
Yeah, yeah. So I mentioned one just a second ago, and I'll kind of get into that a little bit deeper. When your IT in general and your IT operations sort of feel stressful all the time and nothing consistently works, and there's a lot of confusion on how to do things, like you may have 2 or 3 VPN clients that people use, and you're not really sure which one to use and why you have this one that works and doesn't. When things start to feel stressful instead of stable, that's kind of that's not a good sign at all. Another one that I think is really important right now, and since COVID and in what we do every day, when it feels like security isn't a primary thread that is sewn into the business, when it feels like security is kind of this add-on feature and sort of this little brother of the IT operations, that's a red flag to me. And that's sort of this reactive model that we've tried to get away from. We want security in particular to be a decision in every single thing we do, every single product that we use, every single discussion we have on the executive level, and any level really. We want security to be embedded in all of that. But if your MSP is sort of bolting it on and talking about adding a feature here or doing this there, then it's really not integrated into the environment. Reactive IT and red flags for folks would also be the situation where they don't have any obvious reporting that IT is functioning and the MSP is doing what they say they're going to do. It can feel good, it can feel bad, but when you have data, that really creates the warm and fuzzy. Like I've got all this data saying good and bad things. That's fantastic, but I have data to make decisions on. And when leadership has that, that's a really good thing.
Well,
And
I
then
think they've got to look at that data. So good data in means good reporting out.
yes,
But you've got to review that and understand, okay, what is the data actually telling me? What story is this telling me that I can craft a response to? And so if you have that lack of visibility with your current provider, you can't make those decisions. One of my favorite things is like, okay, what is the most number one recurring ticket?
yeah,
It turns out, just, off the cuff example, like this printer constantly has issues. Then let's replace the printer.
yeah,
Why are we suffering
right.
with these problems and issues and recurrence? when we can just replace the problem and make the investment to remove that hassle factor from our environment. I think it comes back to having those proactive conversations. And I always say, as you work with your outside vendors, it's as much of a vendor relationship as it is a relationship. And you get what you put in to any relationship, right? And then Valentine's Day is a great time to bring up relationships. But the amount of effort that you put in will double its relationship value. And what I'm trying to say, and not very well, obviously, Dan, is you've got to invest in your business and invest in these relationships to get the outcomes that your business deserves. And so, reviewing those reporting, taking the time to sit down and have these strategic conversations are super critical to the longevity of the IT relationship and making sure that IT is working for you and not against you. And I take that a step forward and say, okay, how are you having those conversations with your IT provider now to ensure that you've got a roadmap, some sort of expectation management?